They said they couldn't afford gifts for my kids, but I made them pay attention. At Christmas dinner, Mom said it softly, like she was doing me a favor. We couldn't afford gifts for your kids this year. I nodded, pretending to understand, until I watched my brother's children tear through mountains of wrapping paper, iPads, designer sneakers, personalized leather jackets. Dad laughed, fork in hand. You know, times are hard. I helped my kids into their coats and walked out. The next morning, I posted something that made every relative call within minutes. But let me back up. My family has turned favoritism into a holiday tradition. My brother Joshua has always been the golden child, the charming one, the success story. I'm Caleb, the guy who fixes their Wi-Fi and gets left out of the family photos. This Christmas, my wife and I had saved for weeks to make it special. We showed up with arms full of gifts, proud we'd managed it after a rough year. Mom's voice wavered when she made her announcement about hard times. I believed her, until I saw the gifts piled high in front of Joshua's kids. My daughter, Malene, stared at the floor, trying not to cry. Did I do something bad? She whispered. No 7-year-old should ever have to ask that. When we left, Dad chuckled. Next year will be better, son. I knew better. Dad had just gotten a bonus. Mom posted spa pictures every week. Joshua had bragged on Facebook about his new custom grill, the one Dad co-signed for. The next morning, our family group chat exploded with photos of Joshua's kids posing with their new gadgets, and Mom's caption, feeling blessed this Christmas. Not one mention of Malene or her little brother. A week later, during brunch, Mom clinked her glass. We've decided to start a family fund, she announced. Everyone chips in monthly to help when times are tough. It's the fair thing to do, fair. We know you've been struggling, she added delicately. Joshua grinned. Yeah, it'll help when kids need tablets for school. I stared at them. A slush fund for your kids' iPads? Stop overreacting, Mom snapped. Everyone benefits. My kids had gotten nothing, but somehow, everyone benefited. 2 weeks later, I saw an event notification. A massive birthday party for Joshua's daughter, Valentina. They'd asked me to contribute. I hadn't. They threw it anyway. We weren't invited. That night, Malene crawled into my lap and asked, Daddy, why don't we go to the fun parties anymore? Something inside me broke and rebuilt itself into resolve. I started saving evidence. Every text where I was left out. Every don't invite Caleb message. I stopped giving them anything and focused on something that was mine. My passion for cars. I opened a side business restoring classic vehicles. Nights turned into weekends. Weekends into months. Then one day, I realized I'd paid off our debts and my shop was thriving. 6 months later, my income had tripled. That's when Mom called. We're planning a big dinner. Maybe you could help set the tone with a generous contribution. Of course, the old Caleb would have sighed and sent money, but that version of me was gone. At dinner, after dessert, Mom stood with her glass raised. We wanted to make the family fund official, she said sweetly, and we thought Caleb could kick things off. Every pair of eyes turned to me. Joshua smirked, already sure of my compliance. I smiled back. I'd be happy to. Then I placed a thick folder on the table. But first, I said, we should understand what family support really looks like. Page 1, a screenshot of Mom's text telling Dad not to invite us on vacation because I complained about costs. Page 2, a message asking me to double my contribution for Joshua's kids' gifts. Page 3, a photo from Valentina's party we weren't invited to. Page 4, Dad's voicemail asking me to cover Joshua's truck payment. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. Silence filled the room, thicker than the smell of the roast. Joshua's smirk vanished. Mom's face went pale. Dad stared at the table. Before we talk about contributions, I said, I want everyone to understand why my family won't be participating. We've been excluded from birthdays, vacations, and Christmas itself. That ends tonight. I reached into my pocket and set down a business card. Caleb Reed, owner, Reed Restoration. I don't need your money. I don't need your fund. The only thing I need is distance. Then I stood. You wanted me to set the tone. Consider it set. I left the folder on the table and walked out with my family. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. Mom's voice cracked through the speaker. I can't believe you embarrassed us like that. I didn't embarrass you, I said calmly. I just showed everyone what you've been hiding. You could have done it privately. If I had, I replied, you'd have brushed it off again.